This is the PressBox High School Football Show with Booker Corrigan and legendary former McDonough coach Dom Damico. The guys look over everything going on in the world of high school football, both at the private school and public school level. Now, here's Booker Corrigan.
Hey now, what a weekend! Some overtime games that we got to recap. We're going to talk about the Ben Eaton Senior Memorial Trophy between Dunbar and Edmondson. Dom's got some incredible numbers for college scholarship information, for other college intel to help us with that. So thank you very much for doing your homework on that. We are coming to you from the live Casino Hotel studio. Thank you so much to Wise Markets, Glen Burnie Transmissions, and the U.S. Army, as well as the Annapolis Running Classic. It's a 10K and a half marathon. It's Saturday, November the 16th, and it is going to be phenomenal. Corrigan Sports is now involved in the administering of that. It's a great, great thing. You need your passcode there, Coach. We are in the process of sharing our information. Let's get one thing out of the way very quickly. Happy birthday to Jackson Patrick Doyle. My friends Jenny and El Jefe Kaufman, Jeff Kaufman, becoming grandparents for the first time ever. So thank you. Love you both. And I know that kid is going to be destined for greatness. Jackson Patrick Doyle, 5 pounds, 6 ounces, this big. Coach, last week, I dropped the ball a little bit. I was wrong. It's okay. I can admit it. I have no problem with it. But you crunched some numbers for us to help young athletes and football players specifically know what opportunities exist and numerically how it adds up for them in their favor. What'd you find?
Yeah, well, I really think the most important thing in this whole equation is the academic component.
Huge.
So, I wanted to stress to the parents, most importantly, to make sure that you have or you set up with your son some academic standards, probably that need to be higher than what the school or the county sets up, so that your son can go to the appropriate schools and have more options available to them. A lot of the county schools, a lot of the public schools, a lot of the private schools, my son would have a way higher standard. So I'm going to encourage all the parents to find out what those standards are, sit down with your son or sons, talk to them about what your expectations are for them, and I would also have consequences, because I think that's how humans learn the best, with consequences. So if football is their major motivator, and right now they're not being academically motivated, then you need to dangle football in front of them and say, listen, son, if you don't get whatever you think it should be.
C pluses.
C pluses. My house was B's and A's, and some people have higher standards than that. But whatever you think it may be, you dangle that in front of them. If they're not meeting them standards, they shouldn't be going practicing. They shouldn't be playing. I know you told me a story about your mom. Why don't you tell us about how that worked out?
It's 7th grade. I come home from school, and she shows me the report card that gets mailed home, and I had way too many C's. Way too many C's, because I was skating by. I mean, not to use a little bit of a pun there, and hockey was my number one sport. And my mom looks at me and she goes, until I have a note from every one of your teachers that you have a B in their class, B or better, you won't be playing ice hockey. And I missed an entire weekend of hockey. But I'll tell you what, it took me 5 academic days because I had to go see the teacher and say, listen, I need a note that says I have a B, and I know I don't have a B right now, and I'm not going to, I don't want you, I know you're not going to lie, because you're going to write a note and sign it that Booker Corrigan has a B in my class, in math, English, science, social studies, the whole thing. But within a week, I had straight B's. So and I literally got 105 on a geometry test in order to get my grade up over to an 81.
And, when you and I were going to school, it was all handwritten letters. Today, you can email your teachers. So many parents are worried about, how come my son didn't get so many carries, or why isn't he playing half the game? And there's no conversation to the academic teachers. So I would encourage, all the parents out there to get the teacher's email address. Communicate to the teacher, especially if your son's right now not being academically motivated. Talk to the teachers and let the teachers know on a weekly basis, Is the homework getting done? How's he doing the quizzes? What's his test grade currently? And I think if that's handled by the parents, I think it's your son is going to be way more inclined to start competing academically.
And as a parent, don't think that you're digging yourself into a weekly communication with that teacher. You are going to communicate with them weekly, but then your son is going to have B's in all his subject, and you don't have to talk to the teacher anymore.
No doubt, no doubt. It really needs to be done, and I think it just makes sense. And I know, I had a daughter, but I was on top of her. Her grades were pretty decent. I didn't have to worry about it that much. But I know if I had a son playing football, there would be some academic standards that were set. I would use motivation, football as the motivation, and there would definitely be consequences.
Now let's talk scholarship numbers. Obviously, every Division I team, you look at Alabama or LSU, they have the same number of scholarships as Notre Dame, Michigan. Sure. And it's 85.
Yeah, well, there's the FBS and the FCS. So the FBS has 128 schools, and they're competing for bowl games. So you watch the bowl games over your holidays from like right after December 1st, you start watching them, I think, and you watch them all the way through January. And there's national championship games now that are called bowl games. And I think there's like 80 bowl games. And you have to have 6 wins to get in. So those schools are competing for bowls.
That's the FBS.
That's the FBS, yep. And every one of those schools is allowed 85 full scholarships. They cannot break up you cannot get a half a scholarship. If you are on scholarship at one of those 128 schools, you're getting a full scholarship. That means your books, your tuition, your room and board, and your meal card are paid for. Each one of those schools, they have rules. The NCAA sets up. You're only allowed 25 per year maximum. So if you can't give more than 25 in 1 year, and you can't have more than 85 on your team. So look at the numbers.
You can also have walk-ons on your team, it's how their rosters get to 100.
I think they're allowed 105 total. Yeah. Before when I was coaching back in the late 80s in college, there were teams like Nebraska had 200 players. Yeah. When the University of Pittsburgh won their last national championship, they were a couple hundred scholarship players. So the NCAA has changed it. But right now, 85 scholarship players. I believe the numbers are roughly around 105 total players. That includes some preferred walk-ons and general walk-ons. Yep. But there is a cap of right around a little over 100 per the whole program. Again, they can't split those scholarships up. Less than 1% of high school football players are going to play FBS football.
Less than 1%.
Correct.
Get a scholarship to play a big-time for a bowl-eligible team.
Definitely.
The team is going to play.
The numbers are really tiny. The percentages are really small. You have to be a special talent to get a FBS scholarship. And then once you get there, you have to be really, really special to get onto the field. So because you're going to obviously be competing for playing time with other scholarship football players. Unlike in high school.
The other 1%ers.
Yeah, the other 1%ers. So it's much more difficult to get playing time and all, but that's kind of what FBS football is.
And also, you go to University of Virginia. That's an FBS school. They compete for bowl entries, and you got to go to class. You got to be able to solve problems. You got to be able to get through academically to go to University of Virginia. I mean, you're going to get one of the 85 scholarships. That coach wants to know he's not wasting it on a one and done.
Boy, those kids that go to FBS schools are working for about 50 weeks out of the year. I know had a bunch of kids playing at Maryland in the last few years, and they basically have 2 weeks off per year to go home and really kind of decompress. The other times they're grinding it. They're either in season, out of season, spring ball, winter training, weight training, academic classes, academic preparation,
tutoring.
Yeah. It's a nonstop 50-week program, and it's many hours a day. So it's a full-time, it's a life-changing, lifelong commitment for those 4 or 5 years.
And what do you think the chances are of Jackson Patrick Doyle getting one of those 1% scholarships?
Well,
he was born at 5 pounds 6 ounces. Not a lineman.
Not good. Not good.
Less than one. I would say 1%.
No doubt. So then the next level, they used to be called 1AA, which is really the
Villanovas, the Delawares, not competing for bowl games.
They're competing for a 1AA playoff structured system. 32 teams make that playoff structure. There's 124 teams that play it. They're allowed 63 full scholarships. Okay, so it's about 20 less than the FBS level, and they can have you can give those to no more than 85 players. So at that level, you can get partial money.
Oh, okay. So you can divide it up. So Villanova might have a tackle who's a third-string tackle who's getting a half scholarship.
Correct. But the total package can't add up more than the total number of scholarships that you have. But you can give pieces or partial part of scholarships.
So now you're talking about an extra percent. So now you have 2% who are going to go play D1 college football. Then there's D2.
Yeah, the next level is D2. There's 156 Division II schools, and the maximum number of scholarships are 36 for the entire football program. And out of that 36, they divide them up any way the coach wants to. So almost all the kids that play Division II football are on partial scholarships.
Right.
And most of them, if not all of them, definitely at least half of them are not getting half their tuition paid. And some of those Division II schools still are very expensive. So, you could, in theory, be getting $1,000 to go to Westchester and be on a football scholarship. That's a lot different.
But you're still only getting $1,000.
You're getting $1,000. That's a little different than going to the University of Maryland on a full scholarship, where you won't get a bill. If you're a scholarship player at one of the FBS schools, you don't get a bill. It's basically like golfing at Marion, and at the end of the month, you get no bill, which that's a pretty good deal. So I can see why a lot of kids and a lot of families want that. Can you imagine, having your son go to these schools and not get billed? That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, pretty good deal, but it's only 1%.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's a tough sled. And then there's D3, where you get your W&L and your Hampton, Sydney, Randolph, Macon schools.
Such a big variety in the Division III schools. There's 239 Division schools who play football, and 0
239 D3.
239 D3 schools and 0 athletic scholarships. All the money in Division III is academic money and need-based money. So, again, we started talking about academics. If your son falls down into the D3 range, and then all of a sudden they look at his transcript and his transcript isn't up to par, and you don't have money to pay for college, that's not a good combination.
No, it's not.
So if your kid falls down to the D3 level and it has really strong grades, it opens up so many more of those 239 Division III schools for an opportunity to at least go and entertain and look at and possibly make that happen.
We are up against a break. Coach Damico giving you a lot of numbers. Please feel free to rewind that on your phone or computer device, however you're looking at. Appreciate you making us part of your sports viewing day. When we come back, we're going to recap some games. McDonough, Spalding, Mount St. Joe, Franklin, DeMatha, Good Counsel. Sick run in that game, by the way. Loyola, Woodlawn. Then we're going to preview some games. We're going to talk about Ben Eaton Sr. And one of the big previews we have Friday night, Hartford Tech hosting undefeated Elkton on Friday night. If Hartford Tech wins, there'll be a virtual lock for the number 1 seed in the 2A. That'll be fun. And congratulations, obviously, to Tim Palmer, the head coach up there. I'm Booker Corrigan, and we will be right back after this break.
Need groceries today but don't have time to shop? Order online with same-day pickup or delivery at Wise Markets. Wise to go online. Now that's convenient.
This is Stan the Fan for Glen Burnie Transmissions, located right in the heart of Glen Burnie for almost 60 years. If you suspect you're having a transmission problem, GBT can save you hundreds of dollars over taking it to the dealers for a repair. Make an appointment for a free diagnostic and estimate. Call GBT at 855-728-1841. Their mission is simple: to provide excellent service at a reasonable price. Go to their website at gbt-online.com to check out all of the 5-star reviews. Let my friend Mark Schwartzman and his GBT team take the troubles out of transmission troubles. Call them today at 855-728-1841.
Respect. It's more than a word. In the U.S. Army, it is one of our core values, earned through selfless service to our nation and making a difference both at home and abroad. On the Army team, respect is earned daily. And now, in addition to earning respect, you may earn up to $40,000 in bonuses if you qualify. To learn more, visit goarmy.com/bonus or call 1-800-USA-ARMY. Paid for by the U.S. Army.
You know it. Huge appreciation to our friends. We're coming to you from the Live Casino Hotel Studio. And thank you, of course, to Wise Markets, Glen Burnie Transmissions, and the U.S. Army. And the Annapolis Running Classic. Corrigan Sports Enterprises is now the management tool to make the Annapolis Running Classic. It starts and finishes right at Navy Marine Corps Stadium. My girl, Tanya McGrath, will be at the event coming up on 5 years. With Tanya. Unbelievable. Very lucky. I'm a lucky guy. I got you. I got a good-looking shirt from Pete Fry. It's a nice shirt. You get a free bowl of soup with that shirt? With this shirt. I think you're better dressed than I am today.
No, you look good. Well, I dusted off the good stuff for today.
Sunday best. He told me earlier. I love it. Now, let's do some recaps. Yeah. Overtime. McDonough, Spalding. What did you learn from that?
Well, it should be a fun and exciting MIAA conference playoff. 4 teams are going to make it. Obviously, Gilman won't this year, but the 4 teams in it are going to be battling for 2 more weeks to figure out a champ. But McDonough again, just this week, too much Curtis Jacobs. Curtis Jacobs, scholarship football player, gone to Penn State, plays both sides of the ball, rarely comes off the field. Could probably play Division I football, either offense and defense. I think Penn State has him penciled in to play some defense, but he can play offense, scored 2 touchdowns this week. And the other weapon that McDonough has, which not a whole lot of people talk about, is Harrison Beatty, their kicker. Wow, he's probably the best kicker in the state. He's going to have a bunch of offers to play to kick field goals and be the kicker in college. And Harrison, I had him for a couple of years, and boy, his kickoffs are unbelievable. I mean, the guys that return the kickoffs, before he even kicks it, I think the team runs off the sideline because they know it's going about 5 yards out of the end zone. So,
does he ever put one through the uprights on the kickoff?
He can do anything. He's amazing. He really is.
That's pretty impressive.
He's really committed. He committed himself to being stronger and really worked hard. It was really fun watching him grow and develop into what he has become.
Gotta love that. So McDonough, and again, Jackson Bonnets, as Keith Jackson likes to say, when he hits with a wallop.
You better have your mouthpiece in when he runs into you. There's no doubt, because Jackson can definitely bring
nothing wrong with getting your feelings a little loose. Well, not at my age, but at a key, they get free dental.
Knock your dentures
out. Tell me a little bit about Mount St. Joe Franklin. I know you guys were up against it a little bit.
Yeah, boy, Mount St. Joe's a really talented team on offense, especially. Billy Atkins is their quarterback and just can throw the ball, spins it incredibly, accurate thrower. He's got unbelievable receivers that he throws to, and Andre Crawley, Tyler Wilkins, and Dante Thornton Jr., and then they got a Division I running back in Marlo Wax. So they have tons of weapons, and I was really impressed with their offensive line. They did a great job protecting Billy all day. He threw the ball just as accurate as you can. He looks like a true big-time college throwing quarterback.
Were they as good on film or in person as you thought they were after watching as much film as you did to prepare?
I think Coach Holzer they looked actually better in person. I think most teams do. But, and it all depends. High school kids, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, you don't know what you're going to get sometimes. And I think we got the best of Mount St. Joe, and it definitely is related to their passing game on Saturday. So, yeah, Franklin Indians really fought hard. I think, we gave a great effort. And
you learned a lot.
We learned a lot, and it's going to really help us make this state playoff championship run. But Mount St. Joe really good on offense this week, and just too much for the Franklin Indians to handle. But I'm sure, like you said, Franklin's going to put it in the bank and move forward and try to win another state championship.
Hey, before we get into the DeMatha Good Counsel game, definitely want to plug PressBox, the hard copy edition. Definitely make sure you check that out. There's some great articles in there. Guys who have been guests on this show are now being featured in the PressBox hard copy edition. So let's do a quick one of these. How y'all doing? Yeah, how you doing? Hey, Booker. Now, let's talk DeMatha Good Counsel. One of the sicker high school runs you've ever seen?
Well, amazing football down there in the WCAC all the time. I mean, their playoffs will have a full crowd. There's certain games you go to in the WCAC, and they're still taking tickets in the middle of the second quarter to get into the game. So there's always interest down there. Great athletes. Marshawn Lloyd's amazing running back. DeMatha 30 over Good Counsel 17. And the real difference in that game was the O-line from O-line, D-line at DeMatha is just impressive. So strong. So many Division I guys. And it all starts there. Once you get to that national elite level, you need to be strong at the point of attack. O-line, D-line has to be good. A lot of teams in high school have really good skill guys, 1 or 2. If you have 4 or 5 O-linemen, D-linemen that can play at the point, you're going to be really good.
It's funny. I was recapping the Notre Dame-Michigan game, and I'm a Notre Dame guy. I have cousins who work there. My cousin Kevin's the head lacrosse coach there. Michigan dominated the trenches on both sides of the ball, and that's how you're going to blow a team out. Now, I don't know if Michigan's that many points better, but games take on their own identity, and line play is so important.
It's critical. It's critical at every level. Like I said before, it's critical from rec football all the way to the NFL, and there's not too many teams that aren't at the top of whatever division or whatever level they're playing that don't have good O-line, D-line play.
Loyola took down Woodlawn. What do you like about Loyola?
Loyola rebounds back off of a loss from St. Chris's, only 1 loss on the year. Jordan Moore, their quarterback's a special athlete. He's one of the better athletes in the area, definitely in the MIAA. And anytime you play Loyola, you're going to have to stop Jordan Moore, and Woodlawn just couldn't do it.
And we never talk high school football without stroking Eddie Dolch at South River. Still
undefeated. Eddie's still got it rolling. I texted him the other day, and he really enjoys the kids he's working with. And Eddie's off to an 8-0 start, so they'll make the playoffs. They'll be close to a top seed, and we'll see if they can keep it rolling at South River.
When you talk about top seeds, and we got some feedback, if you want your school mentioned on this show, you can just reach out to us here at PressBox or hit me on Twitter at Booker Corrigan. It's very simple. You can hit Dom on Twitter, but he doesn't have Twitter, so you can't really hit him on Twitter, but you can hit me on Twitter, and my Twitter is simply at Booker Corrigan. Someone reached out. They've been listening to the show. They love the show. They love your style, your delivery. They was heavy praise for Dom Damico, but they want to know about Hartford Tech. They're hosting undefeated Elkton. We talked about Elkton a little bit, but Hartford Tech needs some love. Head coach Tim Palmer, he's got some studs.
He does. Both teams 8-0, big game Friday night. So someone's going to have to get a loss after this Friday. Hartford Tech, really led by, obviously, head coach Tim Palmer, but Travis Walls, Jaleel Cooper, and Andre Armstrong right now are making great plays, and they're going to have to make plays again on Friday night to beat Elkton.
Andre Armstrong, I'm picking as the player of the game.
Great football game.
What are you going to bet on it? Annapolis Running Classic, you got to do the 5K, 10K, half marathon.
How about 6 black jelly beans?
For those of you who didn't watch the Glenn Clark show, 1 for every K that you don't run. I'll give you 3 black licorice jelly beans. Cool. Now let's get into it. And you actually wanted to get into this, and it's the Ben Eaton Senior Memorial Trophy. I'm not going to steal your thunder, but how impressive is it that they honor it? God, high school sports is so important to teach kids about standards and to honor people who dedicated their lives to it.
Yeah, the Ben Eaton Memorial Trophy is a trophy competed between Dunbar and Edmondson. This year, Dunbar won the trophy. The head coach Lawrence Smith really talks about everything that he's learned as a football coach on and off the field is attributed to Ben Eaton Sr. A great man. I was fortunate enough. I never worked with him, but I knew him in Baltimore when I was coaching at McDonough. But they talk about Ben Eaton as being tough, disciplinarian, old school, caring, always there for his kids. And to have that trophy named after him and to have his name just continue to show up in Baltimore is important. I know he affected and changed a lot of lives in Baltimore, and I'm really glad to see that they have a trophy and that his memory is being carried out.
And one of the things I want to harp on a little bit about this, because it is so important, you just said that Ben Eaton, of all the words you use to describe him, you use 2, and don't think that these can't go together. Tough and caring. You can be tough and still let kids know that you care about them. There's different ways to do it, different times to do it, but as a career coach, you're a career coach, there are opportunities to be both to every kind of kid.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a great combination. Even our ex-President Obama at Elijah Cummings' eulogy said, it's okay to be kind.
Yeah.
You could be tough and kind. And I think that's true. I think that's what Ben Eaton was. I think kids today need discipline. They need structure, but they also need to be hugged sometimes. And I think he had the right combination.
Couldn't say it better myself. Couldn't say it better myself. Make sure you check out the Annapolis Running Classic. go to AnnapolisRunningClassic.com. It's November 16th. It is under new management. Corrigan Sports Enterprises will be down there. It starts and finishes right at Navy Marine Corps Stadium. You can still register for the event. Dom, the after party is what I want you for. You're not in for the 10K. You're not in for the half. Not happening.
What's that other race I was supposed to run where you got to go about 15 yards?
The .05K.
Sign me up for that one.
Yeah, we don't have that one in this one, but if we had that one in this one, you'd run that one in this one. But we don't have that one in this one.
I'll pass then.
You can do the 10K. You can do the after party.
Can I be a timer?
Navy Marine Corps Stadium. The after party is insane. It's awesome.
I'll be there.
We get good food, and there's a ton of oysters. So we'll check that out.
All right, I'm in.
Thrilled to be able to give Chris Pelkey a shout-out last week for his big birthday, my man at the Valley Inn. Love the show. Dom, great info this week. Once again, knocking the cover off the ball.
Thank you, sir.
Just like your boys from Houston. We'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting. But it looks like Houston's going to have a parade sometime soon. We shall see.
We shall see.
Thank you so much to Wise Markets, Glen Burnie Transmissions, the United States Army, and the Annapolis Running Classic. For Dom Damico, I'm Booker Corrigan reminding you, you only get one shot at today.